Hey folks, John here, Old Hickory Forge. Welcome back. If it's your first time here, welcome. So what's going on today? I'm down here in the workshop coming at you with kind of a shop improvement project, need a tool, make a tool, what have you. If you've been around, I'm sure you've seen me use this thing. This is a tool I use under the press for drawing out the pins of hammers. I use this rounded side for fullering out tomahawk edges sometimes too. But I've got some ideas for other tooling I want to make that could help improve some of my processes, as well as I want to make a hook plate to hang these up right here so they're out of my way, but they're still where I can get to them easier. So we're going to do a little bit of forge and fab work, make up a little hook plate, and make some new tooling. If you want to check it out, stick around. First thing I want to make is essentially going to be a handled hammer eye punch that I'm going to be using to punch the eyes and flatters. The stripping die I normally use for hammers, this doesn't go in there. You can kind of put it in there, but then it punches the eye further back than I want it. So having a top tool I can put where I want it is going to be helpful. What I got here to make it, this is a 1-inch round H13. This stuff is super, super tough. It holds its shape up to 1500 degrees. It's an air hardening tool steel. So it's great for stuff like this. Now, we need to make kind of like a mild steel backing plate or mounting plate, whatever you want to call it, because the H13 in its air-cooled state is harder than the steel of the dies. And if you press down on it, it'll mar up the die, and then your flat dies are screwed up and this, that, and the other. So we'll make a mild steel backing plate, make a handle, and make this bit, and we'll keep moving. See what I mean about this stuff being tough? Once we got to about a dull orange, the press was starting to have trouble with it. But it's a pretty simple forging operation. We just need to taper that down, taper down the width until we get kind of the length we're looking for, and then we'll smooth it up on the grinder, break the corners, get kind of like a tapered rectangular oval cross section, if that makes any sense. Alright, so here's what we got. We just ran the flatter over it into the press to get a nice smooth surface. We'll break these corners and round them over on the grinder, and that's really all the forging we need to do on this thing. Alrighty, so we got this thing ground up, cut off of the parent bar, beveled, ready for welding. Got the tip ground up real nice. I'm going to go ahead and set it to the side because I want to do all the welding kind of in one go. Welding H13 is kind of tricky because you need a preheat of about 1,000 degrees. But the next thing I want to make is a hot cut. So I'm going to take this 1-inch round and I'm going to come at the drawing die sideways and kind of draw that out into a long rectangular blade. Cross section about like that is what I'm going for. And then I'll use a piece of 3/4 inch round mild steel for the backing. Same principle as this. We got the taper in there. It's looking pretty good. So now we're just going to go over it with the flatter. Get it smoothed up real good. Alrighty, we got this baby smoothed up real good. Having a good smooth surface like that will help keep it from getting stuck. Got a stout edge put on it. It really doesn't need to be sharp, like a cut-off hardy or a hot cut tool or anything like that. It acts a lot more like a wedge than a knife, and having the edge too thin can make it easy to rivet it inside your billet. So something like that, that's plenty. But I got an idea for another tool I want to make. What I got here, this is a custom H13 tomahawk drift I had made by Michael Hoops over at Cole Township Forge. His maker's mark right there. But something like this, but a little bit wider. As you can see, this flatter hammer, whatever you want to call it, eye punch, is too small. It's not going to work real good. So I'm going to make another one of these, but a little bit wider, so I can use it for punching holes in stock for axes. Alrighty, we got the bit for our next tool drawn out. I didn't bother showing it to you because it's just, forging a taper. Nothing to it really, but while that's cooling off, I'm going to go ahead and get to work on the handles for these. So this is just 3/8 round stock. Cut it about 22 inches or so. Just going to bend one end around real good. Like that. With the handle bit, just clamp that baby up in the vise real good. Here's just a round file. That ain't bad. Alrighty, we're starting to look like something. Got our mild steel backing plates made up. That was just some scrap 1-inch square I upset and then ground into a round-ish shape. Basically, we're going to go through and weld the handles onto the backing plates, get that completely done, and then tack the tooling on, throw it in the forge, get it to a nice, cherry red or so, about 1500 degrees. That should give us plenty of time to work. Like I said, to weld H13 effectively, you need a preheat of about 1000 degrees or the weld won't take. It took me breaking my hammer eye punching die 3 or 4 times before I did the research and figured that out. So there's that, but that's what's happening now. Alrighty, got the tooling tacked up. So like I said, next thing we got to do, we got to throw this in the forge, heat it up nice and red, then rush it in here to the vise and try to weld on it before we lose heat. Once it gets below like a dull red, you're making it worse. Also, I know I'm not supposed to be welding in a short sleeve shirt. I had a jacket I normally wore, but it got caught in a wire brush and torn up, and I haven't replaced it. So don't give me too much flack about that. But let's keep moving. I got all my tooling welded up. While that's cooling off, I'm going to go ahead and get to work on the plate I want to put the hooks on to hang these things up. I'm going to use half of this piece of scrap plate. I don't even know where in the world this thing came from, but I'm going to get that cut out, throw it in the forge, get it textured up so it looks nice. This is something I'm going to look at every day, so I want it to look at least a little nice. So we'll forge some chamfers on the edges, touch mark it, map out the holes, drill them, and go from there. So, like I said, just going to run a nice little chamfer on those edges, give it a nice forge texture. Get the little touch mark right about there should do it. Nice. So now to make the hooks, I got 6 pieces of 1/4 inch square cut off at 6 inches. Don't have too much of a plan. I'm just going to take it and run with it and see what looks good. Alrighty, we got our hooks made, so while all that's cooling off, I'm going to go through, clean all this weld up with a flap wheel, and then we'll thermal cycle these things one more time, and that's pretty much the heat treat on H13. It's an air hardening steel, so, nothing too crazy. Alrighty, got these babies cleaned up a little bit. Instead of looking like a turd sandwich, they look like a turd sandwich with mustard. But we'll thermal cycle them one more time, and that's about it. They're ready to use. We got our hook plate marked up. We'll drill 1/4 inch holes on the ends for the Tapcon anchors that are going to fasten this thing to the column, and we'll drill 3/16 holes that are going to be for the rivets. We'll countersink the rivet holes from the back pretty aggressively so the rivets will sit flush. Then all we got to do is just rivet the hooks to it, and we're about done with this baby. Alrighty, we got our rivet stock cut up. This is a 3/16 inch round cut to 1/2 inch, should be plenty. We'll go ahead and rivet all this together cold. Then we'll throw it in the forge and tweak everything where it needs to be. That's why I didn't worry about making these things, straight and square too much, because we can do that at the very end. So, nothing to it really. We got our rivets in. Last step is to throw this thing in the forge, tweak all the hooks so they're straight and even and, look good and everything. Get a nice black oxide finish on this thing, and it's ready to mount. Tweaking the hooks like that is definitely going to loosen up your rivets. So just go over again while the piece is still a little warm. That ain't bad. Pretty cool, I think. Nice blend of form and function. Got a couple extra spaces. I got some ideas for other tools I want to make later on, so those will be good to have. So that's all I got for you. The project went really well. I think those tools are going to come in really handy. I really like the little hook plate. I'm probably going to leave it here whenever I move, just because, you know, it's already there. And I kind of like the idea of somebody else moving into the shop after me and stuff that I made still being here. But the reason I wanted to make this video is because I've gotten a lot of requests to kind of show more stuff of what goes on here at the shop. I'm sure you've been around and you know I don't upload very often. That's the biggest obstacle to the growth of this channel, I've been told. But I don't want to put out content at the expense of relevancy. Like I don't want to put out crap filler content just to be putting out videos. I want each one to be something that's interesting, something you enjoy watching. So I mean, if you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. If you don't want to see more stuff like this, let me know. You know, I'm asking you guys for guidance, so please give me some feedback in the comments. But like I said, that's all I got for you. If you like what you saw, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Always more cool stuff coming. Links in the description box below to the Etsy if you want to purchase any work, to all the social media if you want to follow me, all the followers and all the Patreon supporters. Big thanks to you guys. Next month is June, so the quarterly Patreon giveaway should be coming up. I got a pretty cool idea for that, so stick around if you want to check that out. And y'all take care.